Everyone told me to let my brother rest in peace, but I couldn't. When my brother Jason was found dead in his apartment, the police declared it an accidental overdose before his body was even cold. I sat across from a detective who wouldn't even look up from his paperwork while I begged him to listen to me. "Ma'am, I understand this is difficult, but toxicology doesn't lie," he said, still writing. I told him Jason had been clean for 3 years and still talked to his sponsor every single day. I told him Jason was getting married in 2 months and had just put a deposit on a house. The detective finally looked up and gave me this sad little smile like I was a child who didn't understand how the world worked. Families are usually the last to know when someone relapses. I asked if they were going to investigate and he closed his notebook. "There's nothing to investigate. I'm sorry for your loss." My brother was only 31 years old and the world decided his death didn't matter enough to ask questions, but I couldn't let it go. Jason's kids had started using again because they thought their dad was a liar who relapsed. Every day I didn't prove the truth was another day they believed the worst about their father. I went to Jason's apartment that night and picked up his phone because I couldn't accept what everyone was telling me. His texts were normal until the week before he died, where he'd sent his fiancée a message that made my stomach turn. "I'm scared. I found something really bad at work, and I don't know what to do." She'd written back asking what he meant. "I can't talk about it over text. I just have to do the right thing even if it terrifies me." I called his job the next morning and asked to speak with his supervisor about his sudden termination 2 days before his death. The receptionist said, "I'm not authorized to discuss former employees," and hung up on me. I went back to the detective with the texts, and he actually laughed. If I had to guess, stress at work probably triggered his relapse. You need to accept reality and start grieving properly. I wanted to scream. I wanted to give up, but Jason's kids were destroying themselves because they thought their father was a fraud. And every day I didn't prove the truth was another day they had a reason to keep using. Instead, I called every person in Jason's contacts until I reached a woman named Dana, who got real quiet when I said my name. "I can't talk right now, I'm at work," she whispered. "Meet me tonight. I'll text you the details." We sat in a coffee shop where she kept watching the door like someone might walk in any second. "Jason found documents," she said, her hand shaking around her cup. "The company knew one of our products was making people really sick, but fixing it would cost them millions, so they just kept selling it." I asked what Jason did with the documents. "He went to HR thinking they'd do the right thing. Instead, they went straight to the executives, and a week later he was fired for performance issues, but he was an amazing employee." Dana looked down at her coffee. "He told me he was going to report them to the government next. That was 3 days before he died." I asked why she was telling me this when she was clearly terrified, and she started crying. "Because I was too scared to speak up when he was alive. I can't do that to him again." She slid a flash drive across the table. "He gave me copies of everything. He said if anything happened to him, the truth still needed to get out." I rushed home and slammed the flash drive into my computer. It had hundreds of emails where company executives calculated if lawsuits from sick customers would cost more than recalling the product. But then I found the worst email. It was from the CEO, and it was sent 3 days before Jason died. It said, "We need to handle the Jason situation before he becomes a bigger problem." I found a lawyer who took the case, and she got a court order for an independent medical examiner to look at Jason's body again. The new toxicology report showed the substances in his system had been injected directly into his bloodstream, not swallowed or snorted like someone using would do. My brother didn't relapse. Someone else put those substances into his body and staged it to look like he was still the addict everyone expected him to be. The police opened a murder investigation that same week. I sat Jason's kids down and told them their father didn't relapse, that he died protecting strangers because that's the kind of man he really was. They checked into treatment the next week.
Due to the limited time on YouTube, you can open the link on my homepage to download TikTok. Then enter the Arabic numeral password in the upper right corner of the search bar to find this novel for free reading. There are more wonderful novels being updated.